I'm Irene, and I have spent 35 years living, voting, and raising my family in D3. My time in Japantown, I spent time at Roy's and the Farmers Market. We do business, our family, in Japantown with a Tom store as well as the medical group. And I can remember Subaru, where we would put my daughter's bassinet on the table when we would have dinner in Japantown. I certainly helped with dumpster days, so did my husband, and I worked with Rich with the Keep Japantown Safe and the patrols. I find that Japantown is a compelling reminder of what D3 and what all of San Jose can be. If we focus on the small businesses, the mom and pop in Japantown, we can find that there's the importance of voluntary activity and looking out for one another. And we can see the exceptional mixed use here of both the residential and commercial. We have a 15-minute walk city in Japantown. Because Japantown is so culturally special and a great example, I'm recommending that Japantown be designated a special use district. I'll cover that more later. But Japantown will be able to guide its own development based on its needs and its legacy. Japantown is all about strength and independence. My campaign is all about independence. I have a unique mix of social local activism with fiscal discipline. I've spent 20 years at IBM, most of it in finance. I started 3 businesses in downtown D3 and 4 local advocacy groups. And I came in second to Omar in 2022. I'm just so excited to be here with you and be in Japantown tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. What small business incentive programs would you promote to bring about increasing supported business to San Jose, Japantown?
We get this question a lot. A lot of businesses need a jumpstart, but we need deeper than just general business, and we need even deeper than we would with the core, because this is Japantown. You must go down to the micro level. We have to avoid things like the Jordan trade experience of going having permits and a vicious circle and over expenditures. We have to stop losing small businesses like Subaru, like Bakery, and San Jose Tofu. And we have to start saying yes to the unique character and legacy of Japantown. This is where the special needs designation comes into play, to maintain culture and jumpstart small businesses. Part of this plan is to require commercial use to be compatible with cultural and historic integrity, compatible with neighborhood character and design aesthetic. It would secure Japantown's future as a thriving commercial and residential district. And Japantown becomes an incubator for small business with community orientation. This means Japantown can set planning direction, they can do zoning, they can do approval over business types in Japantown. They can develop their own influence over incentive tourism and marketing. I would also like to start a small business legal defense fund for all small businesses, but especially to address what Roy is going through right now. In San Francisco, Japantown has the SUD program, the special use designation, and they received that after the terrible redevelopment in the 60s. JNA, JPA, and JCC have done exceptional work to preserve, protect, and promote. Let's give them more tools.
And I'm assuming there is, and you've all spoken to, the value of the historic importance of Japantown as a community in San Jose. What would you, if elected to become a city council person representing D3, do to ensure that this area is historically is protected, it's culturally, and the culture is preserved? What steps do you do to ensure this, that it doesn't just get lost like some of the other smaller Japantowns and other communities?
Given the legacy of outrageous discrimination, from the Asian Excluding Act, the mass internment, the wanton demolition of Japantown in San Francisco, Sacramento, and Stockton post-World War II. We need to preserve, protect, and promote Japantown as Japantown, not just another commercial strip with chain stores. This is my key reason for promoting the special use designation for Japantown to preserve culture. And how does the work, I'll call it? I'll read from San Francisco. It will require commercial uses to be compatible with Japantown's cultural and historic integrity, neighborhood character, development patterns, and design aesthetic. It will secure Japantown's future as a historical and cultural heart of Japanese and Japanese American community. Japantown needs government structure that equally addresses the needs of long-term residents with people who will join us for the first time in the future. We need to preserve the history while we develop. That's our critical success factor for Japantown. We can think local and act local, and we can empower these three neighborhoods to have more control over their own neighborhood. And we can make sure that Japantown is Japantown.
The question is, what will you do to create a sustainable resolution so these incidents are not constantly requiring a response to service on a regular weekly basis by residents and business owners. This is a concern to the many residents who live in the community as well as business owners. So I think it's key to say sustainable resolution, and what would you recommend?
So Matt is right. We need to keep focusing on Prop 36 and making sure that we have criminals who are sent appropriately to prison. And we also can't always count on volunteers like myself to make sure that the streets are being controlled and being safe, like we did with Rich program. We are playing currently whack-a-mole with homelessness and misery. Just like Anthony said, we can't keep pushing this problem around, whether it's RVs or whether we're clearing a site at Watson Park. We need to have a solution. And part of my plan is to focus on large-scale congregate community housing. And this is based on sprung structures. Sprung structures have 65 sites across the United States, 6,500 beds across the United States. We have none of those large-scale structures in San Jose, none of them. There are sprung structures all over California, but not in San Jose. So when we see posts from Roy about folks who are sleeping on the sidewalk, harassing customers, a lot of that can be addressed when we get shelter for these folks. And in that large-scale shelter, the incremental ladder property success is where we can do group therapy, where we can offer PO boxes, where we can offer job training, and get people from one rung of housing to the next rung of housing. But right now, housing is is blocked up. We need to be able to get that housing produced a lot faster. But in the meantime, we shouldn't be allowing people to live in misery. So we can provide some shelter. While they're there, we're building the real housing that they actually need. But in the meantime, we have a transition plan to take people to the next level of housing. Thank you. Ms. Dawn.
Please share your views on billboards in San Jose, particularly new electronic billboards that we're seeing in D3 and downtown. 30 seconds.
So I said this before, the short answer is no, and the long answer is no. I've been working on this project for a long time, trying to get attention from the city council. We had a 2021 survey, a 2022 survey. Everybody has said, no, we don't want it, and yet the city council will vote tomorrow to be there to decide whether or not we will get these large billboards in downtown San Jose. I say, if we really want that revenue, why don't we put it in Japantown Road? Why don't we put it in E10? Why is it always going in E3?
What can the city do specifically to protect our undocumented members and the increasing what we're seeing as ICE raids in our community at the schools and churches and so forth.
So with Mayor Act, I completely disagree with his support of the electronic billboards in downtown, but I do absolutely commit and support to what he's been saying about undocumented folks in our community. They deserve our support. As I am a representative, as a council member, they will be supported by me whether they are documented or not. We hope that I will continue to have their focus on folks who are having criminal acts and are behaving violently and are a threat to our community. And that we hope very firmly that they will be folks who are law-abiding completely alone.
And the question is, what is your experience and knowledge of the 24-hour quiet zone along the railroad tracks? And how would you assist Japantown and the Hensley neighborhood residents in promoting this project? So clearly there's some concern about the noise from trains. So this is your question about your knowledge of and experience with the 24-hour quiet zone. What would you do to ensure that perhaps it's...
Well, we recently got the quiet zone. And it's been a problem because we have a lot of unhoused folks living on the tracks. As a result, this is jeopardizing the quiet zone that we have been able to attain. We keep asking the Union Pacific to clean the tracks, and they're refusing to clean the tracks. This is potentially leaving them in a very precarious legal position, because if someone dies on that track, not only will the noise continue, but there will be a lawsuit regarding that.
Yes or no? Would you be in favor of the city bringing an outside neutral third party to look at some of the city's processes for cost efficiency?
Thank you. I agree with Anthony and Gabby. I don't think we need a third party, but yet they're very, very expensive. But we continue to fail audits, and we have not followed through and followed up on our own audits, whether they're from the state or our internal audits. That's where we can start making some progress. And I'm also recommending that we use zero-based budgeting, not for the whole city, but for one department at a time, to determine where we can find efficiency and where we can find departments who aren't meeting their goals and their success metrics. That way, we can actually do it internally ourselves, and if we have to eventually go to an outside consultant, we have that option. But until we look at it internally ourselves, it doesn't make sense to do that.
Thank you. Tell us a little bit more of any nonprofit organizations that you belong to, and philanthropic ones, and maybe give us a hint of your hobbies.
My first degree is in accounting, so I actually love audits. I'm on the board of the Sentencing Alternatives Program. We take folks who have been given a prison sentence and we give them an alternative to serving that sentence. And I started the mediation program for the Pro Bono Project, where we were serving, or are serving, low-income clients from attorney services, but the courts were clogged and we didn't have enough attorneys, so we started moving them through the mediation program that I formed.
How are you going to represent all of District 3?
So I think I'd like to reframe the question in terms of public input. Because right now in San Jose and D3, we're in the dark ages when it comes to public input, and we really need to bring San Jose into the 21st century. They don't listen to us. They're not listening to us on the electronic billboards. We've had bike lanes installed, and we have expert bikers in D3, and no one was consulted on how to make them better. We have Watson Park. There was all of a sudden a unanimous vote in City Council, and that safe sleeping site was decided without any input from D3 and without any notification to the neighborhood. We need to be able to have more input, and that's how I want to represent all of us, is to get our input, and we can use a whole list of tools that I can go through, but we can use tools rather than just Facebook groups that are constantly saying this or that or the other thing. We can use those tools.
Mr. Quick, and the question is, Is there a question that we haven't asked tonight that you wish had been asked that would help us to understand some of your priorities?
I wish that we asked the question, what do I think the job is going to be like? Because none of us here have had the job before. I've run for election before, but I haven't had a job before. And I disagree. I don't want to be part of a voting bloc. Because I think my job is to represent you. I think it's your voice that is important, not my voting bloc. And I think the question isn't how well you play the game. The question is how well you represent each breed. And that's how I will measure my job success. Am I representing each breed? Because that is my job.